Okay. All right. Sounds good.
You ready?
Check, check, check. Let's do it.
You sure you're ready?
I'm 1,000%.
All right. You were so excited about this. I feel like you're seasoned veteran here. You've done a ton of these. You know what's up. You were saying last night you're super confident how this was going to work.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that not what you said? All right. So we got to hit them with the intro music first. That's how we start every single podcast. Sounds good.
I love it.
The intro music just, every time I think about changing, I'm like, gosh, can't change it because it's just too dang good.
You got it right.
Y'all, welcome back to another episode with the one, the only, the Vitamin D, Demerit Sims. What is up, brother? How have you been doing, man?
Good, man. I'm getting better every day.
Good deal. So you guys have, like, I don't know if you ever go on and read the comments on our videos or not, but all of us, like, religiously have gotten comments. Where's vitamin D? What happened to vitamin D? Where did vitamin D go? So I thought the best thing to do is, but since you were back active now, I was like, I'm going to get D in on the podcast, and we're going to talk about where you've been, what you're doing now, what you've been, how life's going for you, and just all the fun stuff that we got going on here in the Gulf Coast of Florida, which you are a huge participant in. But we will get into all that stuff here in a little bit. But just so you know, we don't have a script. We don't care where this goes.
That's perfect.
We just kind of talk. So
Yeah.
we'll go through that route. So we'll start with that. How are you doing? I saw your latest video. I watched it. Definitely mad respect for putting that out there.
Yeah.
And kind of giving an explanation. If you guys haven't checked that out, I got Vitamin D's channel linked down in the description box below. I think it's your most recent video, right?
I just uploaded one last night. So
Okay, yeah, you got the redfish video, which I want to talk to you about too. But just kind of a synopsis of where's vitamin D? Where was vitamin D in 2022? Let's go there. So
where was I? We're getting right into it. So basically, of course, I was with the clickbaiters, and we were getting active with that. But I went through some things in my life that changed drastically for me. I had a small family where my fiance and I weren't on the same page necessarily.
Sure.
And, things kind of went south between our, in our relationship. And I made the ultimate decision to step away, more so for the fact, for the sake of our child.
Yep.
And, not wanting her to see her parents go through that type of relationship, it became unhealthy to a point where I said, I'd rather not have my daughter in that type of environment. So
sure.
A really, really tough decision on my part, but I feel like it was for the betterment of our daughter. So
yeah. And it's one of those things where, you guys see it on the news and everything all the time in a much bigger scale where we do live our lives in the public eye. I mean, it's on a micro level. Obviously, all of us are living life in the public eye on a micro level, but it sure seems like when something like that unfortunate situation happens, it definitely amplifies it like a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that I was able to leave a person that I was engaged to, we were together for almost 11 years. Our daughter was 3 at the time. For me to leave that situation, I think it speaks volumes, because no man wants to just end something like that and then just walk away. So obviously I had my reasons, and we're not going to go into detail on that.
No, definitely not necessary at all.
But just speaking on that topic in general, relationships can be difficult at times. We all have our ups and downs, but recently you may have even heard this story in the news where a local woman who was a cadet for either Santa Rosa or Escambia County, she ended up taking the life of her husband in a domestic dispute.
Yep.
And that was a close friend of mine, and it's really rattled me to the core because, I just walked away from almost 11-year relationship and engagement.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to tell anyone that it doesn't have to get to that level to where it's either physical or violent, or it leads to somebody losing their life. Like,
it's terrible.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It does take a different level of strength to sometimes walk away in the best interest of your own mental health. And I'm, you know, we've talked about this so many times, and this is probably going to be one of the more serious intros to a podcast you guys are ever going to see. I promise y'all, we're going to get light and fun here in just a minute. I promise. So bear with it. But I did, you know, I know that's the big question that everybody's going to ask. So I mean, there's no point in not just diving right into that and beating around the bush. But so many times you see people stay in unhealthy relationships because of the kids. And what ends up happening is, yes, mom and dad are both, they're mentally unhealthy. Well, and that's great. And parents know how to, you know, like as an adult, you learn how to deal with stuff like that.
Right.
Whether you compartmentalize or whatever you do, but a child doesn't necessarily know how to compartmentalize or deal with that kind of, so it can be much more traumatic on a child
Definitely.
Than what it can on the adults. When the adults think they're doing the right thing by staying together, because you got that, well, you know, we have to be together to parent this child. And while that's great, it's just sometimes it's not the most healthy thing in the world. So for you to be able to, you know, be a man and say, hey, this is the best thing for my daughter, and it's going to hurt like hell, but this is what I have to do. And you know, and I think hopefully everybody understands why you needed to take time off from being in front of the camera. That's one of those things where you can only put on a front so long. I mean, everything's all hunky and dory, and you know, you can easily damage your brand if you try to push through and be happy, because one of two things is going to happen. One, everybody's going to be like, well, hey, he didn't care at all. He did this. If you're really good at like putting on that front and you continue to make videos throughout the entire 2022, and everybody's going to be like, well, he didn't care at all. And that's going to be the mentality. Or you're going to come across like you're really feeling, and then you're like, well, this is terrible. I'm not going to watch this anymore. So sometimes it is best just to step away. And I saw your Facebook post and I loved it. And he's like, everybody wanted to know where I've been living. And like, that's, what more can you say than that? That's awesome.
Yeah. So like you said, you know, it's going to hurt at first, and it definitely hurt. I tried to ignore my feelings for a while. My friends were inviting me out to have drinks. At first I was, you know, accepting them on their offer. I was in the bars and mingling with people, but after a while it got to a point where like, this is not helping at all. It wasn't helping my situation.
Right.
I do enjoy being out. I do like socializing, but you know, I had to take some time to myself. You could even see it in my content around those times when I started shacking up with my best friend. I was going out trying to do fishing trips and create videos for my audience, and I just wasn't successful. I thought I was doing everything right, but just, I don't know if it was God telling me, hey, take a break. And he sat me down. I took my time, and you know, I dealt with some other issues that I had going on, and it was weird how everything just hit me all at once. So I did go through a depression phase, and I kind of secluded myself into my room for a bit. And, you know, I was just watching YouTube videos and, you know, just kind of sulking in what was going on. So after a while, things started to turn around for me, and I started allowing people into my life, and the texts were flowing, the calls were coming in, and people were checking on me. And once I started talking about it and getting it off my chest, that's when I realized, like, hey, this is helping. This is helping. So talking about things and getting it off your back is so healthy, and it's just good. It's good for the soul.
And you know, I don't want to turn this into that podcast, but it's like for men especially, and I'm just being honest with you, men don't talk about their feelings.
Right.
They really don't. It just in general, most men, like, it's, how are you doing? I'm fine. I'm fine. You doing all right? If I shoot D a text, or he shoots me a text, hey man, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. It's the response we're programmed to give.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not trying to like beat a dead horse, but it is, because if you come out and you're like, man, I'm hurt. Like, I am hurt right now. Like, that's a tough conversation to have as a man, because it's different for most women. And I'm not trying to separate it here, but like, Sarah's got her group of girlfriends where if she's having a bad day, she will call them and tell them all about it.
Not taking anything away
no,
from
no. That's amazing. No, not at all. That's an amazing place to be. And I think if more men had that, we would, or did that, like you said, and was willing to open up, and that's what you should do. You should talk to somebody and get it off your chest. For women, they can do it like fluidly. Men, we just, and it's our own fault. I'm not blaming anybody else other than us. It's just the way we're taught as we grow that, you know, You don't cry. You don't show emotion. You know, you
gotta
tough
be
it out.
tough,
Yeah,
and you
and
gotta
that's-
make it happen.
Yeah, and I think, and I mean, we see it. I mean, prime example. I mean, look at Twitch. I mean, I'm sure you know.
Yes. So Twitch was also a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We used to dance together at a dance studio called Tippy Toes in Niceville, Florida. And, you know, he was the most happy, joyous person that you could imagine. And in front of all the lights and the cameras, you would never know that anything was wrong with him or bothering him. But,
No.
I mean, look at the outcome. So, you know, just seeing that unfold, that also speaks volumes. The most happy people sometimes are the most hurt inside.
Yep.
And
And
you
I
would
think
never know.
I think what ends up happening, especially, I mean, there's several out there, and of course, you guys only hear about the high profile ones, right? Like Twitch and Robin Williams. That's the only ones you hear about. But if you've ever known someone that has known about somebody, whether it's directly, indirectly, that has taken their life, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear the same thing from their loved ones. They were so happy all the time. I can't imagine. And it's because they are the ones that are keeping it the deepest inside. I mean, there's no other way to look at it other than that. They're projecting a smile to make you happy because they're not dealing with. Now, that's not everybody. I'm not saying every happy-go-lucky person that you know is like contemplating. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, check on those that you love. I think that's the moral of the story. Like, don't be scared. If you know somebody's going through it and nobody else knows about it, don't send a text and say, "Are you doing okay?" Send a text and say, "Hey, come over, let's talk."
Yeah.
Demand it. Don't
Make it serious.
Yeah, make it serious. Don't just it's kind of like if somebody loses a loved one, your go-to response is, "If there's anything I can do, let me know." That a man is never going to let you know.
Right.
He's never going to call you like, "Hey, I need this."
Right.
It's no different whether it's depression or somebody loses. If you know someone that loses a loved one, call them and be like, "Hey, I'm going to come make you dinner tonight. I know you're going through it. I'm going to come over. You don't have to talk. You can sit in there. You can do whatever. I'm going to come make you dinner tonight. I'm going to come take out your truck." Whatever it is, it's so much more powerful when you not force yourself on them. Let them do what they need to do, but force yourself into the situation so that they know you are there for them. It's not a generic, "If you need something, let me know. I'm here. I'm going to cook you dinner. I'm going to take your garbage out. If you want to sit there and not say a word, okay, all night, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I want my presence to be felt and you to know that I'm here for you."
Right. Because when those demons, and I hate to like drag this on, but when those demons are eating away at you because you've secluded yourself and you've put yourself in this dark place and you've closed yourself down to the world or to your friends and family, that's when it gets the worst. And when people reach out to you, you need to be willing to open up, or like my friends and my family, they could tell that something was wrong.
Sure.
I was in denial.
We knew, yeah.
I was in denial.
Even as a distant friend, we knew. I mean,
Yeah. I was in denial for a while, and you know, I just pretended like I was okay, but everybody could tell. Everybody could tell.
Yeah, and you know, and like I said, we don't want to drag this on, but that is where Damaris has been. We heard it all. I mean, in case from a lighthearted standpoint, we had some people commenting you was in jail.
Yeah,
I played right into that one. I'm like, "Yep, he was." Like
saw those comments.
he was walking down the street naked one night, showing off his body, ended up getting locked up. And now he's in there for like 6 months. That's what happens when you do that kind of stuff. But you guys ran the gamut in the comment section of where a vitamin D was, but that's where he was. We're on the upswing now. All is good. You are back to cranking out videos on the regular. I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, you caught some great fish this last year.
Hang on, wait, just to touch back on that, and then we'll be done with it.
Sure.
So through all of that, I have grown into a much stronger person mentally. So with that, Brant and Melanie, they told me months ago that, hey, your videos are so moving sometimes. Like, I always put like a positive quote at the end of my fishing videos. And they told me, like, you should do some motivational speaking and do something with that.
Yeah.
So now that I've gone through what I've gone through, I've grown from it mentally. I'm going to take their advice, and I'm starting a second channel. And I believe it's going to be Vitamin D Says. That's going to be the title of the channel. And on that channel, I'm going to do nothing but motivational inspirational, mental health type videos to help people start their day, get going, get them out of whatever funk or whatever ailments they might be dealing with, and use that as fuel for your day or for your lifestyle.
That's awesome.
To become better and stronger as a person. So
that's awesome.
You don't
man.
have to deal with that alone.
Yeah, and that is, gosh, that's so huge. Like that statement by itself. Like if you don't take anything else away from this entire podcast, take that away. Whatever you got going on in your life, you do not have to go through it alone. So just you don't. We can leave that at that, but that's a powerful statement. And make sure you like let that one resonate. Whatever you're going through, you do not have to go through it alone.
Yeah.
You caught some amazing fish this last year. I know you didn't make a lot of videos. I saw some of the pictures and stuff that you had posted on Facebook here recently, and just you had a really good year fishing wise. I mean, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, in the short amount of time that I actually did get out and fish and make content, I feel like, again, going through everything that I went through this past year, I feel like God's got his hands on me, and he's just putting me at the right places at the right time. And he's just putting me on some amazing fish, and my content has become much, much better than it's ever been. So,
I mean, even just your last video, man, like I saw you were out there with Scott and Jordan.
Yeah.
Just laid the smack down on spread fish.
Yes.
I mean, it looked like they were just, it was effortless.
It was.
And I'm going to bring this back to, I was reading through some of your comments on Facebook. So there was a picture of a fish kill on Facebook. I think you had 2 fish, Scott had 2, and Jordan had 1. And everybody's like, that's illegal. You can't you're only allowed to keep 1 redfish. And I'm like, guys, you've got to understand, we all travel. I've said this 100 times. Just like the regulations are different in different parts of Florida, there's certainly, I mean, even Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, in Pensacola, we are 12 miles from Alabama line? I mean, something like that on Interstate 10.
We're right on the border.
Yeah, I mean, but when you cross into Alabama, you can keep 3 redfish. One of them can be overslide. That's 12 miles away. 8 miles if you're on the water. If I hop on the Mako, I can be in Alabama in 8 miles.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand, when we post pictures or videos or whatever is going on, don't automatically assume we know the laws.
But there's always going to be that.
Oh, I know, but it's multiple.
Yeah.
It's like you I mean, like, just take a minute and just think about what you're saying. And it's like, you can't keep more than 1 redfish. We know that.
You know, the funny part about that is when I opened up the video, we're in Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
Yeah. It's like
I just said that.
You lead with that.
Yeah.
It's like, but it doesn't matter, because I know there's a select group of you out there who like scroll through till you see a rod bend and you never hear a word we say. They have to. There's no way with some of the comments that I've seen that they're not like, they're the ones scrolling straight to the rod bend, which is cool. I mean, if that's what you're there for and that's all you care about seeing is just the fish catch, hey, more power to you. I ain't mad about it. But also, don't be the guy that comments about regulations when you don't even know where we're at.
Because now you're assuming, and you know what assuming does.
Yes, 100%. And it is quite comical, because I've seen so much. I mean, because obviously I go down to South Florida a lot. Mm-hmm. And, I'll catch a fish, and it's like, you should have eaten that fish. Why would you throw back a perfectly good fish? And it's like, well, that fish is 100% illegal to keep in the area of Florida I'm in. So, yes, I can keep a speckled trout in Pensacola, but if I kept the one where I was at today, I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
And to touch on that, if people are skimming through my videos to see the rod bend and me actually catch a fish, I don't blame them, because I do make longer videos. And I recently did a poll on my channel where I asked if my audience preferred longer, detailed adventures or would they prefer shorter, detailed, straight to the point adventures. And 75% of my audience said that they would like the longer adventures. So
here's what I've compared, and I've said this a lot. I don't know that you and I have ever had this conversation. Imagine you're playing for the New York Yankees, all right, and you hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th. You win the game. Everybody's going berserk. The stadium is just
yeah, I already know where you're going.
And you come around third base and you look up, and there's one grumpy old dude sitting on third baseline that just doesn't like you. Doesn't care that the Yankees just won. He don't like you. Are you going to worry about that one guy, or are you going to listen to the rest of that stadium? Because that one guy means nothing.
Yeah, get him out of here.
Nothing. It's so easy for us to react to reply to and notice negative comments.
Yeah.
But you have to force yourself not to do that, because there's like literally, I can go right now, there's 150 positive comments on our last video, and there's probably 3 that some guy doesn't like me or doesn't like the video, or, you know, my fish was too, whatever it is. 9 times out of 10, that's where your eyes get drawn, is that negative comment. It's hard not to, but you have to force yourself to not focus on the grumpy old man on the third baseline.
Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy. I don't know why we do that in today's social media society, but it's so flipping easy to do that. So speaking of your little girl, did you guys have a good Christmas?
Absolutely. I got her a Barbie house that is taller than she is. It lights up. It's got speakers, and got her like 3 or 4 different Barbie dolls. And her imagination, because she's an only child right now, is just insane. Like, she can act out anything just with her dolls.
We'll touch on that in a minute, but I got to ask the most important question about that whole conversation. How long did it take you to put it together?
I'm pretty good with my hands. I mean, I work for General Electric. I build wind turbines for a living. So YouTube's not my full-time job yet, but I do plan on making that a thing. That YouTube will be my career soon.
Which I don't disagree with, but I feel like you dodged the question a little bit. How long did it take you to put together the Barbie doll
house?
house?
With my hands, so it took 25 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's legit. That's legit right there.
On the box, it has like, I want to say 85 pieces.
Well, and some of that's furniture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen in the old movies, man, the little girl gets the dollhouse?
Let me have my credit. All right.
Hey, dude, if you did it in 25 minutes, man, that's legit. Like, hey, no, valid. 100% valid. Because I'm telling you right now, the boys, which my kids have kind of outgrown that. Chase 18 now, Landon's 13. We don't do a lot of the putting together. But, dude, I remember when I was a kid, or when they were little kids and they would get stuff, I would literally be that dad sitting on the couch back in the background like, wow, why? Why did, especially if Sarah got it, because all dads know, like in some situations, the moms buy the presents. We don't know what they're getting, but we're always the ones responsible for the putting together afterwards.
Yeah.
Sarah used to do that to me all the time.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting back there and they would open something. They'd be so excited, and all I could think about, my mom was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to put that together."
Yep.
Or then it would make noise.
Yeah, put together.
Yeah, just another thing I got to do. So that dude, 25 minutes on a big dollhouse, that's awesome.
We're not going to talk about maybe a few bad words that I used while I was building it.
Look, hey, as a parent, if you don't try to put together a Christmas gift and you don't like cuss a little bit under your breath, you don't got to do it out loud, but if you don't cuss at least a little bit under your breath, putting your child's Christmas gifts together, I mean, they didn't have a good Christmas.
Right.
At the end of the day, food was good, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we did. So this was the first time, golly, in probably 6 years that I was actually home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Just between back and forth to Kentucky and just doing all the things that we've always had to do. We've always kind of been on the road at Christmas. And I told Sarah last year, I'm like, not going anywhere. I'm like, when Christmas rolls around, I'm going to be home. I'm not going anywhere. And we did. And man, it was nice. Like, we just cooked at the house. I made some country ham on the big green egg. It was,
as a bachelor, I hadn't eaten like that in a while. So going to visit family and seeing everything out there and so many options. My plate was like this high.
Heck yeah.
And it was like, how
and
are
that was
you going to
probably
eat
the one
all
you
that?
took home after the meal.
Oh, trust me. I ate twice and I had a to-go
There,
plate.
my man. See, D's after my own heart right now. You don't get this body without focusing on food like
We're
that.
working on it.
Hey, D's not even. I don't even want to hear it. Demara's not even close in the belly department. There a lot of things you can beat me at. The belly department, I got you there. You got me on the beard and all the muscles, but the belly department, number one right here.
You're killing it.
I'm trying to, man. It's an investment, really. Do you know how many chicken wings you have to invest in to get this type of body?
I can only imagine.
This doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
So some people think it's there, and it does not happen overnight. So big plans for 2023. I'm assuming, obviously, the channel. You're on a great growth pattern. D and I are very close growth wise. We always have been. I mean, ever since we moved to Florida, you were way out ahead of me. I had a little bit of momentum there in 2021. Caught you, and then but we've always been right in that same ballpark as far as growth wise.
Yeah, we have. It's interesting that you say that. I guess as YouTubers, especially like local YouTubers who are in your area, you kind of look at each other and not in a competitive standpoint, but more so of how are they doing versus how I'm doing. And so, continuous growth. proud of you and where your channel has jumped up to. And yeah, 2023, I think we're going to take off pretty good. Hopefully I get the right people watching and we can get some sponsorships.
Yeah, my biggest video to date is the one with you.
Huh?
My biggest video on the channel is still the one with you when we got stopped by the game warden that night.
Really?
Yeah, that's still my biggest video ever. When you and I got stopped on the water that night.
That makes me feel pretty good.
It was honestly, that might be the only time you and I have ever fished together.
Yeah.
Was that we went out on the Mako one night. We were targeting Sheep's Head, and it was the worst night of fishing ever.
Yeah.
We didn't catch anything at the bridge. We finally caught some white trout, and we took them out to this. I don't want to say where we were, but we were at some structure out in the bay.
Yeah.
And we were getting wrecked.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know what was eating our bait, but we were getting destroyed.
That
all
has
night.
happened to me before, where you pull up and you're sitting right on the coordinates, right above some structure, and the fish are just, they're not having it that day. And everything pulled us down into the structure and broke us off, and we didn't catch
And we
one
had
fish.
big tackle.
Yeah.
Like, we had big tackle. And then right before, I mean, it was literally like, it was getting ready to like break dark. Game warden rolls up
Cool
on
guy.
us. It was super cool guy. He was, and I talked about that in the video that, you know, those guys are just doing their job. You guys have heard us say that 100 times before. They're not out there to cause you a bad day or anything
Mad
like
respect to them.
that. And you know, it's one of those. I feel bad for them because they're just doing their job. And the bottom line is, there are people out there who are 100% out there to break the rules. They are, and it's sad, but that's the truth. And I don't think people account for when they don't follow the rules, that they are there for a reason.
Right.
And you know, I've heard you guys comment, and I've seen comments. Oh, it's just another form of government control. And maybe you're right. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you know, if the flounder population is depleted, and they know that, and they change the regulations on flounder, and you're still trying to keep 6, and you only keep 3, you're not following the rules. They didn't just wake up one morning. They're like, you know what? We're tired of people enjoying catching flounder. We're going to change it to 3 and not 6 anymore.
The only fish that I can see that being a problem with is red snapper. You can almost not drop a bait down without catching a red snapper around here. But the reason for that is because we have a tourist population that comes here every year, and the main objective for our charter boat captains is to take them out and catch red snapper. Like, it's not even charter boat captains. One of the issues that I feel like we face with that, you can come here with a kayak, and if you know where to go, you can kayak right now. You don't need a boat. You don't need a captain. If you know where to go, you can kayak right now and catch 2 keeper red snapper in less than 5 minutes. Yeah.
I promise you can. And if people know that, they will get depleted. So people come here just for that. I mean, you take you guys have seen me fish with Darcy and Puddin down in South Florida. They only get like 3 days all year, but the reason is they have to go out like 5 or 6 miles just to even begin to sniff a red snapper. Like, it's where with me, I can hop on the Mako, and you guys have seen me crush red snapper a mile outside of the channel where my house is at. And that's just a very unique fishery that we have here that we're able to do that.
Yeah, but there are species that used to be more plentiful here that are no longer plentiful.
Redfish.
And if we don't have regulations and things in order to make sure that those fish can make a comeback, our kids will never see those fish.
That's 100. That's 100% correct. I mean, it doesn't matter how you look at it. I mean, that's 100, and especially with everything going on down in South Florida, like the red tides, and that's why it's so heavily regulated down there. In case you guys don't know, if you've never heard of the red tide, I don't understand the whole thing, but look it up. It's insane. There's usually a big fish kill every year that comes from it.
It's so sad.
But yeah, 2 years ago, down in the Tampa area, it was terrible. I fished with my buddy Steven Chapman down there, and he was sending me videos. I mean, there were dolphins that were killed, anything and everything that you can imagine. It was bad. So if you've never heard of a red tide, look that up. But that's why the regulations in South Florida are so strict and different than what we have up here. I mean, we have strict regulations here, but nothing like down there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so sad to see, you know, I see videos of it all the time. Brant goes down there whenever it's red tide just to show how impactful it is on the fisheries here in Florida. It's devastating, honestly. You see some of the biggest, most awesome fish that somebody like us could be catching washed up on the beach, and it just hurts to see that.
Yeah, the only thing I think I've ever seen worse than the red tide was when they had that real bad freeze in Texas.
Yeah.
I don't remember, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if you guys follow Thresher Fishing, but if you do, he did an amazing video kind of showing the product of that. They have huge gator trout in Texas, and when that freeze happened, they pretty much lost them all.
I I've been after those gator trout. Actually,
Yeah, man, it's
I went to Mississippi, and our goal was to catch big speckled trout. I said that in the video in the intro, but we ended up dominating the redfish. But yeah,
did you all catch any trout at all?
No, we didn't catch one trout.
I mean, I went out. So I went to Galveston with it's actually one of Brant's buddies, Brad King. He lives out there now around Houston, and we went wade fishing. Which have you ever been wade fishing?
Absolutely.
As some of these podcasts tend to do sometimes, we did go a little bit long, and I kind of felt like we would when Dee and I sat down, but I wanted to bust this up into 2 parts. The other part is going to drop on Saturday morning at around 8 o'clock Central Time, so you don't have to miss it. It'll be there, but I wanted to shorten this down because I feel like when we split these up, they do a little bit better. But I feel like Damaris and I touched on some very serious, very important topics at the end of this podcast, so I want to make sure this gets out there. Hopefully this will reach somebody that needs it. But we're going to wrap this one up right here. The other one will drop on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock Central Time. The other part of this podcast, the last half of it, y'all don't want to miss that, man. They tried to kill me out in Texas, and we're going to open up talking about that. Guys, I truly hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a big like. As always, make sure that you find a reason to make somebody smile today. We'll see y'all on the next one.